a penalty. You want to give them the ball back? No, you don't play. You don't know it. That's just plain and simple.
Were you happy with that drive?
Was I happy with the drive? No, we didn't score points. It's the dumbest question you could ask. What?
All right, afterwards, Baker did tweet that if he offended anyone, then it's too bad. Shannon, how concerned should the Browns be about Baker?
Skip, they should be concerned with his play, and he's doubling down on things that he really shouldn't double down on. And his rhetoric doesn't match up with his play. Skip, you know, I'm offended. You know why I'm offended? Because I picked them to win that division. I'm offended with his play. He has 6 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. He's played good in 1 game. In 7 games that the Browns have played this year, Baker Mayfield has played good in 1. And that was at Baltimore. And not only did he play good, he played great.
He did.
But outside of that, he's been terrible. He's been abysmal. And he keeps talking oh, I love Baker. What do you love? What has he shown you? Oh, he has a chip. Skip, Baker Mayfield is not the only one that came from circumstances, and I get it, being a walk-on and walking on at Texas Tech and walking on to Oklahoma and winning the Heisman. But you know what? That's not helping you in the NFL. What you did in college, Skip, and what people don't understand, and take it from a guy that spent 14 years in the locker room, the more heritage you come into the NFL with, the harder guys will go at you because they want to see. And you know what? And you hear rumbling, Skip, he's overrated.
Yeah.
You start to hear all he cares about commercials.
Yeah.
I don't see, all that tough talk and all that braggadocious. What has it gotten him?
Yeah.
And that's what he doesn't get. Ryan Leaf said something a couple of weeks ago, Skip. He said, I see a lot of myself in this kid. You remember, Skip, rest his soul, Junior Seau had to come in and pull Ryan Leaf away from a reporter in a very similar situation. And you see this. His play doesn't match up for the tough talk. I get it. I got a chip on my shoulder. I'm who I am. Accept me who I am. But, bruh, you play. The Cleveland fans should be offended. I think what has happened, Skip, he started to read those press clippings. Baker Mayfield threw for more touchdowns as a rookie than anybody. The betting money is on Baker Mayfield to be MVP.
Yep.
The money's on them to win the division, yada, yada, yada. Skip, all that, that's fine and good. The press clippings are great, but you got to play football. And again, and how did he get his message out, Skip? What did he do? Go tweet it. That's social media. Here we go again, Skip. He just can't let it go. He can't let it go. Just leave it alone. Okay, you made your point. Now, I wish he'd have handled the situation because Deshaun Watson had a very similar situation, Skip. They asked him what was going on. He said, do you understand the coverage they were playing? Because they lost to Carolina. Yeah. He said, they were playing quarters, they were playing cover 2. Sometimes they played cover 6, they buzzed it down. They dropping the safeties, getting wide. Kinkley was back, jumping everything that come across the middle. So we had to go up. He explained it to him. I hate when guys, and Skip, I know you've experienced this. You don't play, so you don't know. Oof. Bro, I get all that.
Yeah, he reached for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Baker. They say the quarterback is the CEO of a corporation. It's hard for me to envision or see a scenario in which a corporation will ever be successful when your CEO displays this kind of behavior. It's just hard for me to see it. Not saying that it won't happen, but I don't see a scenario. I'm trying to think of a situation, Skip, in the 100-year history. A quarterback has exhibited this kind of behavior and has had success, team success in the NFL.
Well said. Agreed. There's one thing I know about the National Football League. More than any other league, it will chew you up and spit you out before you know what hit you, unless you earn what you're boasting about.
Yes.
Like if you can back it up on a consistent basis, everybody will leave you alone. But he's not backing it up.
No.
He backed it up last year.
Right.
He thought he'd earned his spurs, so to speak, where he was a made man last year. No, you're not made. You got Odell Beckham Jr. with Jarvis Landry. So now you got Shannon Sharp Memorial expectations, and you have not lived up. You've lived way down.
Way down.
Okay, so I'm going to say it again. I still love watching Baker Mayfield play quarterback. I still believe he's going to be very good in this league. But he, to your point, has not been except for one little blip at Baltimore. It was a great blip. Man, they won 40-25 at Baltimore. They put 40 on that Baltimore. It's a pretty good defense. We'll see just how good Sunday night against Tom Brady and company.
Right.
But that day, Baker went 20 of 30 for 342, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Not bad. Didn't have a great QBR of 59, but still That was vintage last year Baker Mayfield, right? Because last year, with a bunch of no-name receivers, except for Jarvis, he put on some shows. And it was all kind of out of the blue with little to no expectation, even though he was the first pick in the draft. He didn't even start the first game, thanks to you, Jackson. Okay, what do we know about Baker Mayfield? What does Jenny Taft know from covering all those Oklahoma games? He needs the chip on his shoulder.
Always.
If there's not a feud, he's going to start one. If there's no beef, I'll start it, and then I'm going to finish it on the football field. He needs that to motivate him. So we've seen him start things up with our Colin Cowherd. They went at it back and forth. He needs that. And now he's taken on Tony Grossi. Most people probably outside of Cleveland don't know Tony, but I've known him for a long, long time, and I've known his work for a long time. He's really good at covering the Cleveland Browns. He started in 1984 for the Cleveland Plain Dealer, covering the Cleveland Browns. In the early 90s, he became a Hall of Fame voter. He is credibility personified. And Baker, you can't try to talk down to him and say you don't know, because trust me, he knows a whole lot about the National Football League. And he was asking realistic, justifiable questions of a quarterback who's really struggling. He was actually asking a smart question. He wanted to know exactly what was Baker's mentality and mindset about a drive that failed, and Baker just didn't want to hear it because it's rubbing him the wrong way. How dare you ask me that question, Tony Grossi? Well, you're barking up the wrong tree here, because people in Cleveland, they know Tony Grossi's reputation, and they're going to start to lean toward his side of this.
Well, Skip, you know, Grossi says, and many believe it stems from, he reported that Baker wanted to be flown first class for his pre-draft visits. So that would paint Baker as being a prima donna. How dare you fly the potential for #1 overall draft pick? Coach!
Who wouldn't?
I'd want to be first class
Wait a
too.
second. What potential high pick wouldn't fly first class?
I feel like that would be only appropriate.
I
find
as soon as I got a little money, I can't remember the last time I flew. I've missed flights. Well, Mr. Sharp, we don't have anything in first class. I'll wait till you do.
I'll wait.
I'll sit right in the airport until you do.
I can't picture you in the middle seat.
I'll be like Tom Hanks when he stayed in that airport for like years.
So John Dorsey would call Baker before the draft and say, you know, I'm thinking about taking you first overall, but we need you to fly coach.
A lot of times, Skip,
No,
I mean,
that's not gonna
you're
happen.
that guy, they might even send a private jet to come get you.
Maybe. Seriously.
But I mean, you getting upset about that? Yeah, you're damn right I want to fly first class. As a matter of fact, I want a nice king-size bed and a nice room, too, at the hotel.
I'll take this.
Oh, you get upset about that, Skip? Really?
Well, there's history. There's clear history between the two.
Right.
That makes sense. He also took offense to, he was down on Kyler at one point, saying that he was more like Johnny Manziel. Like, they've had a little beef.
Okay.
Because
but he just plays it for all it's worth.
Sure.
And he was playing it yesterday for his benefit. Like, I need some motivation. I need to sort of restart myself. And the only way I know to restart myself is to pick a fight with him.
Right.
Because people do like him, or they believe in what he says.
Right.
So if I take him on, maybe it will make me write a check that I have to cash on.
Well, Skip, the thing is, the guy's been there for 36 years. There's a good chance he's going to leave on his own terms. He's not going to leave because Baker Mayfield doesn't like him and the paper says, you know what? We got a new hotshot quarterback. We no longer want your services at this paper. If he's been there for that long, he ain't going anywhere.
Yeah.
So, Baker, you need to understand that these guys are not going anywhere.
So I'm going to read a quote out of The Athletic, the Mike Sando article on ranking quarterbacks, re-ranking quarterbacks at midseason. And this one was on Baker Mayfield from just an anonymous NFL evaluator. Here it is. Instead of identifying what he needed to work on to keep progressing, Baker made commercials. Unfortunately, it was kind of like what happened with RG3 going into his sophomore year. You know, every player in the NFL sees it. You know it gets brought up, meaning in other locker rooms. Has this guy done enough to be on every other commercial? Now you have defensive players rubbing his nose in it.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
you do.
That's how it works.
It's like we talked about, LeVar painted that huge target on Lonzo's back. Well, Baker, he's the one painting his own
Yeah,
target.
he drew that bullet on his own back.
Right? And what have I told you? It does seem like every other commercial is progressive. Baker's house is the stadium, right? There are about 5 versions, and I told you that they shot 20 different versions of that commercial.
Right. And the thing is, Skip, what he doesn't understand is that, yeah, You might do a local. I'm sure Andy Dalton do local Cincinnati commercials. When last time you seen Andy Dalton in a national spot? Baker, okay, you're doing national spots now, but keep this up. Keep losing and see how many more national spots. They show a Subway, all of a sudden, I ain't see RG3 eating Subways anymore. I ain't see him drinking Gatorade. I'm sure he still eats sandwiches. I'm sure he still drinks Gatorade, but he ain't in them spots.
No. And obviously, Robert got hurt.
Yes.
Badly hurt.
Yes.
And he had to start over, but he did a documentary, his self-shot documentary.
Wow.
On his rehab. Remember that?
And he still went and got married, went to the Kentucky Derby.
Yep. And it felt like, ego-wise, he went completely over the edge into, as I used to call him, I called him RG me or RGIII instead of RG3, because it was all about him, man.
Right.
And he lost all perspective on who he was and how he needed to start over as a sophomore and learn under Mike Shanahan how to play football.
Right.
And then we've talked about his father went in, I think he went all the way up to Dan Snyder's office and said, we are now Peyton Manning.
Right.
We do not want to run anymore.
No
You're a
more of
pocket
that
passer."
stuff.
Yeah, right? Okay. So Mike Shanahan worked miracles with Robert as a rookie.
Look at, I mean, do we have any doubt? Kyle Shanahan spends 2 years in Atlanta. One of those years, Mike Ryan wins the MVP, goes to the Super Bowl. Look at what he's doing in San Francisco with Jimmy Garoppolo. So his credibility as an offensive coordinator should be unchallenged.
Okay. But what the similar, obviously Baker didn't get hurt last